So guys, attendance enabled. Good morning, guys. So was there a class till 10? Good morning, guys. Okay. So attendance is enabled, guys. You can mark your attendance. So there was one issue that some of the students flagged yesterday, and the participants are only 45. Okay, let me start with it. So one of the issue that I've been informed about is that you have a class scheduled at 5:30 on Tuesday, and because of that, the the lab timings, they become a problem because we are given the 3 to 5 slot. Actually, the problem is when the timetable was designed, there was no class after the labs. This used to be the idea that the lab can be extended a little bit more if required, because there won't be any classes after it. But I guess this 5:30 class has been added later, right? It was not there.
Sir has
Mm,
added on his own, sir. Sumesh, sir.
yeah, right. So that is the issue, right? I mean, this is. I'm not sure whether it has been informed uh, to the administration or not. But see, I cannot actually force him to change the timings because our slot is only 3 to 5, and we really don't have any right to ask him not to take his class at 5:30. So anyhow, I did ask some of the students about the timetable, and they said that the last class that you guys have is at it ends at 1:15. So would you guys be up for shifting the lab timings a little bit earlier? Because that way we will get a little more buffer time towards the end. So I was thinking about 2:30 or 2, something like that. Uh, and basically just to give the TAs some more buffer time for taking the demos because currently we are having shorter labs, right? 1 hour labs, but as time will progress we will start having longer labs, so then it will become difficult for it will be a problem for you guys as well, right? Because you'll have a class at 5:30 and either you'll have to leave the demo in between or contact the TA, so it will become a very complicated job, right? So so think about it. If you guys have any informal
So,
chat group, yeah, go ahead.
sir, we can actually postpone Somesh sir's class, sir. So we were saying this to him yesterday also. So he
Mhm.
told us that you all decide within yourselves and tell your CR to mail me. So sir, we already want to shift that class, sir, because evening classes doesn't work, sir. So it's
Yeah.
better that we keep the lab for the same time.
See, I have no issue. I mean, to be honest, when this timetable was designed, not in this semester, but for your seniors, when I first took a subject, I was told that the labs are arranged in such a way that they are the last engagement for the students for the day, right? So even if, let us say, because some days it will happen that you might actually need more time to code. Okay, so sometimes you might say that, sir, give us 15 more minutes and we will finish the code, something like this, right? And I have no problems with giving you 15 more minutes, but the problem is because we already have a class at 5:30, it will become even more difficult for the TAs to complete the demos. So I have no issues with shifting the time, but as you said, if the other faculty member is willing to accommodate, that will be the best, because 3 to 5 is a very good slot. um, it's just that because he has added a class at 5:30, it has become a little difficult for us. So please talk to the other faculty member. Um, when does these classes happen? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, is it?
Which class, sir?
The 5:30 class?
No, sir, it happens only on Tuesday.
Only on Tuesday. Then I guess you can request him a bit more
Yes.
to uh, change the slot
Yeah,
because,
yes, we'll do
right,
that.
otherwise it will be very difficult for us to accommodate, right? I mean, we already have a very
Sir,
heavy.
everything happens on Monday and Tuesday.
Okay. So yeah, so Monday anyhow we have left. I mean, we are not using our Monday slot for the same reason. Even the TAs are having
Yes, sir.
some classes during the lab slot, right? Um, so it is not possible for them to do the TA duty at that time. So this is why we chose Tuesday and Wednesday. Um, so now we have to somehow figure it out. If the other faculty member is fine with it, um, please request him. Otherwise, we will think more on the lines of shifting your lab a little earlier. Okay, let's just see. Let him reply. We'll see what we can do. Okay. Um. So let us start. Actually, as you guys might have remembered. I mean, I usually close that Word document after the meeting. So I did close it yesterday as well. So are there any questions from yesterday that we have to talk about? Let us talk about that, and then we'll start with today's lecture 3.3.
Sir, I have a different doubt, like from those lectures only. Sir,
Go
what
ahead.
is
Go ahead.
minus O switch?
Okay.
I didn't get it.
Okay. So basically, what happens is when you compile a particular program, what is it that is the output of your compilation, right? So I told you that what happens is your compiler converts your C code into something known as machine code or object code, which is basically some binary representation which your platform, your system can understand. Okay, this is the idea, that the compilation step produces an equivalent binary or machine code for that particular C program. Now, but in most cases, not all, but in most cases, this machine code requires some more finishing before it can be executed. Okay, finishing as in, this is where the linker comes in, right? Because I told you that even in the most simplest of cases, you will at least probably have one library function in your code, that is probably printf, right? Even in a hello world program, you will probably need a printf. So the linker's job is basically to produce an executable from the code that was translated by the compiler. And when it is producing this executable, it requires the code for all the library functions, all the machine code for all the library functions that you have used. And then basically it does some kind of a copy paste thing, that it produces one executable where it has pasted the machine code for the different library functions, and now you have one file that is ready, that can be executed. So the minus O switch, that is there, essentially it is used to so where, what is the name of the executable that the linker produces? By default, its name is a dot out. Okay. So if you do something like gcc space abcd.c, the name of the executable that is produced is a dot out. Now, if I want to give this a different name, right? So for example, I want to name it ABCD, because I have compiled abcd.c. So I want the executable to be called ABCD. I use this minus O switch. Okay, and minus O switch is basically a switch which tells the linker, when you create the executable, create it with this particular name. So is it clear?
Okay, sir. After using the minus O switch, we don't have to again write dot slash a dot out.
Sahil, I can't hear you. I'm not sure whether it is a problem with me or. Uh,
Hello.
yeah, now I can hear.
Yeah. So I was asking that does that mean that minus O switch does that we don't have to again give the command and dot slash a dot out. It automatically does that.
Actually, I again lost you a little bit in between. So, what exactly is the question?
So I was asking that using minus O switch, does it mean that we don't have to give dot slash a dot out?
That is what, right? So, dot slash a dot out is what? What does dot slash a dot out do, right? There is a executable file that is created, which is basically the representation of your C program, right? The issue is, by default, the linker will produce a file with exactly the same name, a dot out, whether you compile abcd.c or pqrs.c. When you finally ask linker to produce an executable, the name of the executable will be a dot out. This is the default. If you want to change this name to something else, right? You want to name it, let us say you want to produce the executable from abcd.c, and you want to name it as abcd, and you want to produce the executable name from pqrs as pqrs or something else, right? Pqrs is not necessary, basically some name. You want the executable to have a name, then you use the minus o switch. Okay, if you actually open man gcc, which I just did, and I wanted to see what gcc's man says. It says minus o out file. So out file means that you are basically giving gcc the name of the executable that has to be created by compiling your code. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the idea that on Windows you have this exe files, right? So what are the exe files? You simply double click on exe files and they start executing. Some program comes up, right? So these a dot out files that you create, they are the exe equivalent on the Linux ecosystem. Okay, so but if you want to name them something else other than a.out, you want to call them, my application, for example, then you use -o switch. Okay. Yeah. Any more queries?
Sir, am I
Yeah.
audible?
Uh, yeah. I mean, I'm not sure whether it is with my connection or uh, I'm hearing robotic voices.
No, sir. Sir, what's the
Yeah. Go ahead.
difference between GCC and G++
What's the difference between GCC?
and G++?
Yeah, so they are two different compilers. Okay, essentially GCC is not even a compiler. It is a kind of umbrella executable, which has different executables being executed in the background. So GCC composes of a compiler for the C language and a linker for the machine code. G++ consists of a compiler for the C++ code. Okay, you have to understand the compiler for C++ is different from compiler for C. Okay, they are two different languages. Every language has a different compiler. Okay, so you will have a different compiler, let us say for Pascal or Java. Okay, so there are for every language you have a compiler, and then once you have some object code, some machine code that has to be put together in order to produce an executable, and that part is done by a linker. So now I have never really gone into the depth to figure out if G++ and GCC are using the same linker or not. That I don't know. Even I will have to see. But there is a chance that even if they are using the same linker, the configuration might be different. The default libraries might be different. Okay. So this is the idea. G++ is for C++. GCC is for C. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Any more queries?
Sir,
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, I want to ask that in the array part, how much big number can be stored in the size bracket? Does that depend on the data type? For example, we use int, so we can only store 4 bytes number.
Mhm. Yes. So essentially, what happens is we had this discussion yesterday as well. So usually when you create a variable, I mean, I have not talked about dynamic memory allocation as of now. So for now, just assume that there is something known as a stack. Okay, again, I have not told you what a stack is as well. So what happens is, how should I say? So when a program is executed, a fixed amount of memory is given to your program to execute. Okay, and in this memory, your program has to create all the variables and somehow manage, right? Usually, this memory is good enough for a typical program, right? But the moment you are going to use large number of variables, or let us say you are going to use an array whose size is extremely big, there are practical limits. Okay, it is very difficult to tell you if your question is the number of elements that I can have in an integer array, maximum number of elements that I can have in an integer array versus maximum number of elements in a character array versus maximum number of integers number members in a float array. If that is your question, yes, it actually affects, because at the end of the day, what you are really what you are really restricted is the total amount of memory that your program can take. Okay, so of course, if you are creating a double array, each element is going to take more space. Similarly, if you are creating a character array, each element will take lesser amount of space. So if that is your question, yes, um, you can create more sized arrays of data types which require less amount of space, and vice versa. Is that the question that you asked?
Yes, sir. Okay,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay. uh, yeah, but
sir,
the exact number of what is the exact upper limit, that is very hard to tell. It depends on the other variables that you have in your program. And so it is possible that during the execution, you guys have not yet seen that. So there is something known as segmentation fault. When you run your programs, it runs into a runtime problem. Okay, there was no problem at compilation or linking, but when you execute, you goes wrong. The common term is segmentation fault. So if you try to create an array that is beyond the limits for your program, you will get a segmentation fault. Read segmentation fault is. I'm just typing it here. Okay, so you can read about what segmentation fault is. Any more queries?
Sir, you
Yeah.
gave a homework to see the different ways to write arrays like array declaration in C.
Yeah.
So the fourth one was something int a,
Mhm.
the brackets 3 is equal to curly brackets and then the same bracket 0 dot 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 1 is equal to 3. So what does that mean?
Can you type it on the chat?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that because this way it becomes difficult to process what you were saying. So I actually also I think I gave a link to read, right? I mean, let me see what link that I gave you guys to link to read. I think it was from Geeks for Geeks or something like that.
Yes, sir. That one only. It was written. It is discarded, but for that particular.
Okay, let me open the uh, that particular lecture. I have to see what link I gave you. See what happens is, do not even with the homeworks, uh, I usually don't leave it in an open ended fashion. Okay, I'll at least give you one starting point that start reading from here, and then if intrigues you, if you feel that this particular link is not adequate, then you can start reading other things as well. Okay. uh, Okay, let me see. Yeah, it is Geeks for Geeks only, right? Okay, just a minute. Okay, you have already put the links. Thank you. Let me check. So then you can tell me which one is it that is the problem. Yeah, I have opened it. Which one is it that you are talking about? I have opened that link, and this is the picture that you are talking about, right?
Yes,
Array
sir.
declaration
The
in C.
yes, sir. The fourth one.
Int A3 0. Oh, see, even I have never used this. I don't know I don't think it is part of a standard C either, because I have never really used anything like this. So what do they say about
Yes,
this?
sir.
What they say?
So
Yeah,
it
go
was
ahead.
written below like something. In the above image, the particular one, this kind of declaration has been obsolete since GCC 2.5.
GCC. So basically, this is the point that there might be certain things which are added by certain compilers. Okay. Um as far as I know, this is not a part of the standard C. Okay. I have never. I mean, maybe I see. C is so vast that it is possible that there are certain things that which even I don't know. But I have never used anything like this to declare or define arrays, right? So you can try it out. Does it work in a real code?
So I guess it was written. It is obsolete, and I have installed this latest versions.
Okay, okay. So no, obsolete is fine. It means that it might give you some warning, but whether it works or not, I don't know. See, I don't think. Again, this is to the best of my knowledge. It might be wrong, but I don't think the standard C has this. Okay. I
Okay,
will
sir. I
check.
will try.
So there is a book that I have given you in reference, right? Cunningham and Ritchie. That is the best book to know what does the original C talked about. Okay. Dennis Ritchie is the person who created C, so he's the author. Okay. So if you up that book, if the this particular way of uh, creating arrays, if it is not there in his book, be assured that it was not a part of the original C. This is something that the newer compilers or specific implementations added. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Sir,
Yeah,
sir, in the same example, sir, in the same homework, in the third column, sir, if we aren't assigning values to all the indices, then why 0 is being stored?
just a minute, just a minute. Let me open.
Yes.
I closed that thing. Uh, yeah, which one?
So the same homework, sir, that array declaration.
As far as I know, even this is not standard. Okay, so what
So the
happens
third
is something
column.
like this. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I think I am having some problems today to hear you all. Um, okay. Yeah.
You can
So can
reconnect. I
okay. I'll make someone the presenter, and please, who would like to be the presenter? Please make me the presenter again. Okay. I'll make someone.
So you will
Uh,
resume as the presenter again automatically. I think.
is it okay? Let me check. It didn't happen yesterday. That is what.
Oh, then
So
we can make some.
so Nehal, okay. Let Nehal. I'll make you the presenter. You raised the hand, right? Mm. So someone who knows how to make someone else a presenter, that person I'm going to make. So Nehal, do you know how to do that? I
Yes,
think
so
you
I just
raised
have to
your hand. Yeah.
drag that thing from.
Yeah, fine, fine. So I'm making you the presenter, and I'll be back.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I guess I have been made the host somehow. Um, let's hope it works better. So there was some question. Sorry, I restarted my Chrome. Is it there on the chat? Okay, let me just open that link again. Am I audible, guys?
Yes, sir.
yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, just a minute. Yeah. So we were talking about this, right? The initialization. See, again, to the best of my knowledge, even this third one doesn't look like a standard thing. Okay. The because the see in the third one there are three examples, right? A3 is equal to just braces, A3 is equal to 0 only, and A3 equal to 1. Now, from what I remember, the third one is valid. The second one is also valid, but it would not mean that the other two values are going to be 0. Okay, they should be garbage values. Okay, so it is allowed that you only initialize just one or some of the members of the array. Okay, so that is allowed. That I know, but whether they will be initialized with 0 or not, I don't think that is standard. uh, Again, I'll have to open that Cunningham Ritchie book again. Because if it is defined in that book, then it will be a part of your standard C. Otherwise, these are certain things that certain implementations of C are going to give you. So you understand that in general, this is the concept that in C, if you do not initialize a variable, there will be a garbage value, right? Now certain it is not the same, for example, in other languages. Okay. in some languages there is a default value, that if you create a particular variable, this will be the default value. So if you create a boolean variable, the default is false, or if you create an integer, the default is 0. So some languages may have something like this. From what I remember from my days, C doesn't do these things. Okay, it will simply create a space for you, and now it is your headache. You initialize it, you use it. uh, C will not have any problems even if you use it without initialization. That is why some of you guys were, yeah, Pranav, you have a comment.
Yes, sir. Actually, both of them work. I just tried.
Yeah, it will work. See, I'm not saying, it will work. uh, the only thing that I don't know about is whether it is a part of the standard C, or whether it has been added in some later versions of GCC. It works. That is why Geeks for Geeks have written it, right?
Yeah.
um, right, but that is what. So when I say standard C, the problem is the features of standard C will be exactly the same across platforms. Okay, so if you go to some other platform, let us say you go to Turbo C++, it will behave exactly like that. uh, but anything that has been added by GCC, that is not guaranteed. Okay, you may or may not get it in some other implementation. So this is what I say whenever I use the term standard C. Probably this is not the proper term either, right? Because even the standard C now has multiple multiple versions, C99, C, I remember C99, no, but there are so many other standards of C. So I'm talking about ANSI C, but even ANSI C has multiple versions. So what I know mostly is basically the initial versions of C. It could be possible that these things have been added in later standards of C itself. Okay, but as I said, whenever you are in doubt, probably the best place to look at is that particular book, right? It's a very thin book, but it's a very concentrated book. Whatever you will read in Kernighan Richie, that used to be the standard. You can understand this, right? uh, yeah, Sahil, this is in my view, this is what will happen, considering that A is a constant, by the way, or variable. Again, A could also be a variable in the recent versions of GCC. But yes, this is what is my intuition, that this should mean that there will be all A values will be garbage values. But as I said, right, I mean, yeah. So Nehal, this is the issue, that the if the recent versions of GCC have implemented this as a feature. In fact, let me just open up that book. I have it here only with me. Where is that book? So how many of you have bought this book, the Cunningham Ritchie book? So let me open the chapter for arrays. Where is arrays? Control flow. Pointers and arrays. See, this is the no, you don't have to. I have, because this is like a reference book for me. Uh, I, I I I keep it like a reference book. There are so many things that even I don't remember about C. Uh, Pointers. So this is the problem, that it actually it has one chapter which contains both pointers as well as array. Okay. Mm, so I do not see anything like this in this book. Okay. um, and this is what I was saying, that if it is not there in this book, then it was probably not a part of your standard C. It may have been added in some later versions. Okay. So yes, and by the way, C++ is different. Okay, you have to understand this. C++ is a later language, so a number of issues with C were handled when C++ came out. Okay, so it is possible that in C++ they may have added this zero thing. Um, But this is what I said, right? To the best of my knowledge, these declarations were not a part of the standards. It is possible that today in the compilers that you get, these are all acceptable. So, similar to the variable and array thing, similar to the fact that today's compilers will accept even if you create a variable in between the program. Okay, in the standard C, they were all prohibited. So as a C programmer, I have a habit of declaring all the variables in the beginning and then use them. Okay. Of course, Java has made me a little more spoiled, but yeah, if whenever I code in C, I try to declare all the variables at the top, because this is something that was the part of the original C. But the current compilers, even if you create a variable in between, they will not object to it. So yeah, so the crux of the discussion is, this might be a part of the newer standards, and so that is why I'll probably get back to you. There will be some discussion on this on Stack Overflow. Someone would have asked a question about it. So by the way, stackoverflow.com is a website that you guys should definitely read. Okay, I mean, whenever you have a problem, the first few solutions of it, on Google, them will be from stackoverflow.com. So that is a very important site. So make this a habit. Okay, so make this a habit to read discussions on Stack Overflow. Okay, not just the answer, but there will be a discussion on each of these answers. Okay, there will be comments, there will be different answers. So start reading those comments. Okay, people give you a lot of information in those discussions. So make this a habit. Whenever you find a solution for a problem, let us say on Stack Overflow, read all the comments. You will know more about. So for example, someone will tell you that this was added in version x.y. If you are having version that is prior to x.y, this solution won't work. Or someone will say, okay, this solution will work with GCC p.q, but it will not work with GCC a point B, something like this, right? So there are so many good discussions on Stack Overflow, which will basically enhance your understanding. So who is going to take this job? Okay, someone has to take this job voluntarily. That person is going to tell us over email whether these declarations are a part of standard C, and if they are not, then in which standard of C, C99 or whatever it is, was it added, and if it is not even a part of the standard, it must have been added in some GCC version. Okay, so go ahead and find out and tell us all. Okay, I will also look at it, don't worry. But if you guys have time, just search more about array declarations, and see what you guys get, right? Just tell me too, I'll also learn. Okay, so we have already lost time. I wanted to discuss the basics of loops today. Okay, so let us just now come back to this. So the lecture that we are going to discuss is lecture 3.3. This is basically introduction to loops. So all those people who have been doing programming, for them this is just cakewalk, this lecture. But those who are doing programming for the first time, this is a very important lecture. Okay, so who would like to talk about it? Who wants to be the shepherd today? I would ideally want people who are doing programming for the first time to be shepherds for this lecture, because you are the target audience. Let me be very frank. Okay, the people who've been doing coding for some time, this lecture was nothing really, it was nothing at all, to be honest. There's nothing that contributes to their uh, okay, Divya, you are one. So Divya, are you doing programming for the first time?
Yes, sir.
Very good, very good, very good. So Divya is one, uh, and Divya, you also have the responsibility to send me the name of all the shepherds at the end of the lecture. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So Nischal, have you been a shepherd before?
Sir, I have been a shepherd, but I have begun programming just now.
So then yeah, then you are one more. Nikhil, what about you?
Sir, I've done shepherding one time.
But you are new to programming.
Yes, sir. I'm new to programming.
Then you are one more. I want all the
Okay,
shepherds
sir.
which are basically doing programming for the first time. Vivek, you too. Are you new to programming?
Yes, I need to program. Done safeguarding once.
It's fine. You are new to programming. You are one more shepherd. Any more person? Anyone? I need probably one more, or I can probably start with four. If there is no one else, we can start with four. Okay, because we don't have too much time. So let us start. Divya, Nischal, Nikhil, and Vivek. Let us start discussing lecture 3.3. So I'll start sharing. Hmm, where is that document? Okay, so I'll start typing something here. Just a review question. Start with this, and then I'll add. What are the types of branching instructions you know? So currently I have taught only one, but I want you guys to start with this, and then I'll keep adding questions. Okay. So I'm going to mute myself. You can start.
So that is the question, sir.
Sir, the
Sir, the
screen
screen is
is
not visible.
unavailable, sir. It's gray.
You are not sharing the screen, sir.
Is it visible now?
Yes, sir, it is.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I'm not sure what is the problem with WebEx today. So you start with this, and then I'll keep on adding the more queries to it.
Okay, so from the previous lecture, we studied that we studied three types of branching instructions. First was a simple if, second was if and else, we use them simultaneously, and third was if, else if, and else.
Yeah. The if else if is a ladder. We can continue on to branching. How many we need according to that. If we start with if, then we can put n number of else if conditions. And if nothing is executed, then the last, that is the else condition, that will be executed. So that is the basic of all branching instructions.
These if else will help us to condition our code. Like we can solve the conditions with the help of that. That if n is less than some number and n is greater than some number, we can do such things with that if else ladder.
And we can have nested if also, like many if statements within a single if block.
If
If you have questions, you
anyone,
can ask, please.
yeah.
So no, is it clear to especially all the people who are doing programming for the first time? Is the concept of branching clear now? Why do we need branching? What are the current ways in which you can branch in code? Is it clear to people? I understand that those who have done programming before, for them it is not a big deal, but for those people who are doing programming for the first time, is the idea, the concept of branching clear? If you have any question, please ask now. Nehal, that is not possible. That is not a valid programming construct. Okay. Sorry, I infringed in in your territory. You guys should answer what Nehal is asking.
Actually, we can have if statements without having else statements, and we can also have if statement along with else if, but only else is doesn't seems to be a correct one.
Yeah, it not makes any sense. Else means you already defined something, and then you are saying that if that is not happening, then it is. And here we have not even defined the previous one, so how can we jump directly on else statement? It will not work.
So she has a follow-up question. Syntax error then?
Actually, it is not a syntax error, but generally what happens in if else statement is that you provide the condition in the if statements, and the the correspond the means complementary condition will be implemented in the else statement. So if you are not providing the if condition, then how can the means the program can implement the else statement? It is, I think, a runtime error, something like that. It's not a syntax error.
You are not making any grammatical mistake. It's a conceptual mistake. So it's not a syntax error.
No, if the condition within the if statement is false, it will not execute the statement basically, and it will just skip it. Is it clear, Jay Mehta?
Great. So this was just a revision of branching. Now let us come to the second question.
Okay, so here is basically a algorithm of a loop. So first we see that the statements before the loop, so that have to be executed a single time, and then we go on initializing the setting values for the important variables. These important variables might be the ones we are going to use in the loop, that will be used a multiple number of times, and they might be the one on the basis of whom we'll run the loop, because the values of the variables will change, and because of that the loop is going to run. So when we enter inside the loop, there are different set of statements that have to be executed. So suppose for the first iteration the statements have been executed, then we need if we want to go to the second iteration, we need to change the value of a variable, that is the basis on which the loop is running. So we update the value of the variable, and then if the condition, there will be a test condition. If the condition is satisfied, only then we'll go to the second iteration, or we'll come out of the loop. And this will happen vice versa. This will happen till the test condition is true, holds true.
Yeah, it is very important to give a condition, because if we not give a condition and make an infinite loop, it will execute, but the memory will keep on increasing and increasing, and it will make memory of the computer. So it is very important to end the loop or with that conditions.
So I'll just want to like introduce a concept. I think I should have added it in the presentation as well. So there is a concept of infinite loops. Okay, so infinite loops are basically loops without any conditions. So they just no, it's okay, Nikhil. It's fine, right? I'm just saying that infinite loops are so what people, you can in theory write an infinite loop, but then that program will never finish. It will keep on running. It will never finish. Okay. So this is something known as infinite loops. So but during your programming career, you will actually write some infinite loops. Don't worry about it. there are certain reasons where you write infinite loops, basically where you are sure that the way you will come out of the loop is through an interrupt. So again, the term interrupt is not something that I have talked about, but basically when you type Control C, um, sometimes intentionally also, that is what I'm saying. No, if you have a break thing, then basically you have a condition. Sometimes you actually write a do while loop which basically says do and while one or something like this, and you expect that you will, at the runtime there will be an interrupt, a Control C kind of thing, to finish off the program. It's too fringe for now, right? I mean, just assume that for now all loops should have a condition. Yeah, something like this. uh, you actually don't need to write one double equal to one. If you simply write while one, that is fine. Because one itself is an integer, and because it is not zero, it is true. So while one is double equal to one, even that is not required. You can simply write while one. uh, yeah, but anyhow, we don't talk about infinite loops right now because there was a discussion, so I thought I'll just weigh in. But yes, as these guys have already said, by default you have to put conditions in your loop to come out of it. Okay, otherwise there is no point. There's no problem that you are solving. You are probably creating a problem. So whenever you write a loop, this condition part is very important. Okay, and again, I'm telling this all to the people who are doing the programming for the first time. This is a concept you have to understand. This is how we write something known as loops. Okay. So we start with some initial values for certain variables. Then during the loop, we use those variables to do some repeated processing. The best example to explain loops, this is why I actually introduced arrays before I introduced loops, is because the best place to use loops, the first example is array. Because if there is something that you need to do with every element inside an array, then you can simply run a variable from value 0 and up to value size minus 1. And each time the loop runs, you use basically arri. Okay, you do something with arri, you read something into arri, you write something into arri, you use it for some computation, whatever you do with arri, right? So arri essentially means that I'm running this loop from 0 to size minus 1. So every time, I'm increasing the value of I, and then my loop goes back, and the condition that has to be met in order to come out of this loop is that I becomes size. Okay, because whenever I double equal to size happens, then arri becomes uh, an invalid expression, right? Because as you remember, arrays, their indices start from 0 and go up to size minus 1. So a very simple example is when that you are trying to get out of a loop which is running with the help of a variable called I, and the job of I is to provide access to different indices of the array. The best way to write the condition is while I is not equal to the size of the array. That is a very simple way to say that, okay, when as soon as I becomes the size of the array, we will simply come out of it. Okay, so again, it is very important. I'm ready to spend more time on this. If you guys want, I will probably talk to you for half an hour more on Sunday also. If you guys do not understand the concept of loop, I'm ready to spend, especially with those people who are new to programming, I'm ready to spend half an hour more to discuss just these concepts. Okay, but please understand it. um, Runtime of a program, not really, right? See, you remember, right, what exactly is happening? It is basically the program counter that gets sent back to some other point in the code. Okay, so I explicitly changed the value of program counter, and now it keeps on going through this. So basically the running time is, if you are doing the same processing without the loops, you will have to write those statements that number of times, right? In the example in the presentation, so I'm doing that scanf 5 times, right? It's just that the same scanf will now run in a loop. Okay, so I just write scanf marks I and max I. Okay, and then the same execution will happen for 5 times. yes, there is some additional overhead that has to be put in order to check conditions and increment variables. uh, but usually, it's very difficult to actually quantify this, because as a programmer, uh, over a period of time you will understand that loops are so important that you can't even think about writing the same thing in a sequential fashion. Okay, you can't write 1 million lines to take 1 million inputs or print 1 million numbers. Okay, so the runtime thing, it may or may not be higher or or lower than without loops, but to be honest, that is not significant. Okay, we will learn how to write loops for our own convenience. So is this clear, guys? The concept of a loop. You understand why it is called a loop? It looks like a loop. It looks like as if you are drawing a circle. Okay, so that is why we call it a loop. So is it clear why? Uh,
Sir,
yeah, go ahead.
sir, is the order fixed that first we have to initialize, then update it, and then we have to make a condition? Because in C++, we first initialize, then make the condition, and then update.
Yeah, so it's like this. It's like this. The condition, I have not talked about it as of now. The condition can be at the beginning of the loop or at the end of the loop, and sometimes you write it even the middle of the loop as well. Okay, so we will read something about break statements. So sometimes these conditions could be even in the middle of the loop as well. The idea is that there has to be a condition somewhere, okay, to get out of the loop. Where exactly do you write? And this is why you have different types of loops. Okay, so there is a while loop where the condition is at the top. There is a do while loop where the condition is at the bottom, and then for is a different idea altogether. I will talk about for in a different scenario, but the idea is, from the perspective of writing loops, the only thing you need to understand is that within the loop, whatever you are doing, you have to use variables instead of constants. So if you start using constants, then it doesn't matter, because it is the same statement that will be executed multiple times. So in the example of the, the 5 elements of marks and 5 elements of maximum marks, if I start using 0 1 2 3, then it doesn't make any sense. I have to make it I, right? Marks I and max I, and then I can say, okay, now I can keep on changing the value of I, and I will access different members of the same array. So whatever statements you write within the loop, you have to analyze it in such a way that basically they are using some variables value. Okay, and then all I have to do is keep on changing the variables value for each iteration, for each run, and then I am done. This is the idea. Okay, the condition can be anywhere.
Okay, sir.
So yeah, guys, I know we have run out of time today. I thought this will be a smaller discussion, but and so if it is not clear, you guys, especially those who are doing the programming for the first time, perfectly fine to take an extra lecture on Sunday or some other day, but please make sure that you understand this concept. uh, I do while and just while. Yeah, they are the same. There is a very minor difference, Uttaran. We will talk about it when we start discussing loops. This is more about giving everyone an idea of what a loop is. Okay. So is the idea of loop clear? That you are basically doing repeated processing, and there has to be a condition. When this condition is met, you basically go out of that repeated processing mode, and and whatever processing you are doing, it has to be written in such a way that it makes use of certain variables. Okay, and the value of these variables change in different iterations, and that is why you are basically able to do repeated computation. And as I said, if you go back to that lecture, just see those two differences. What will I do if I have to do the scanf multiple times? Okay, so is it clear, guys? I mean, do we need to spend more time on it? Please feel free to tell me. Okay. um, It's already 11. I'll have to leave you because there might be another lecture. Um, but if you guys feel that the discussion today was not enough, please drop an email to me, and we can have another class on Sunday, especially for those people who are doing programming for the first time.
Sir,
Yeah, go ahead.
sir, can we have multiple initialization and multiple condition checking and
Yes,
multiple
yes, we
upgradation
can.
in the same loop?
Yeah, we
So,
can. We can.
so for I equals to 1, comma j equals to 1, I less than equals to L, j
Yes,
less than
we
equals
can.
to
We
L.
can. We can. In
Okay.
fact, when we start writing code, you will see that it's really nothing sacred. You can write all the instructions that you write in a typical program. It's just that there has to be some place where there is something like an if condition, and if there is an if condition, and you can come out of the loop. And there are other ways to write that if condition. In programming languages, we call them for loops and while loops. Okay, so the idea is you need a branching instruction. That branching instruction should get you out of the loop, and this is the only thing that you have to figure out. What is that branching condition? Okay.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Go ahead.
Sir, in 3.2 lectures homework, the first one stringify.c, in that we have to use a loop for the puts function, sir. I am unable to think of that, sir. Like how we have to use a loop in this puts function, sir.
It is already time. You might actually get a scolding from Indira ma'am, right? So
No
so
problem, sir.
let's
Sir, rest can leave. I am okay, sir.
okay.
I am also okay.
Yeah, so Nischal, this is the idea. So let me answer it. So what do you do in putest function? You basically have an array, right? Array of characters, and there is a string stored in this array, and the last at the end of the string there is a /0 character, \0 character,
Yes,
right?
sir.
So basically, if I want to write pseudocode, essentially what is it that I have to do? I have to start with index 0, and each time in the loop the index should be incremented by 1, right? So first time I will pick up the first character of the character array, the next time I will pick the second character of the character array, third time I will pick up, and when I say pick up, I mean I will simply say output the first character of the array, output the second character of the array. And what is the condition to come out of this loop? The moment I figure out that the current character is \0.
Sir, but we have already printing the string as a whole, sir, in one line. We don't have to print multiple strings, sir.
No. Read that. Read that question again. So it says, you are now supposed to implement the putest function. Okay, so someone has removed it from your library, and it is your responsibility to rewrite it. How will you write it? This is the question.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so what does putest function takes? It takes a string and it prints it on the console.
Yes, sir.
Right? Now that thing you have to do using whatever you have learned. That basically the argument of the putest function is going to be a character array, right? And that character array will store the string. Let us say if the character array is of size 10 and it
Yes,
is
sir.
storing the string hello. So
Okay, sir.
no, index 0 will be H, index 1 will be
One will be E.
index 2 will be L, index 3 will be L, index 4 will be O, and
O.
index
Five
index
will
5
be \0.
\0.
Yes,
It
sir.
is 0. Okay, so
Yeah, 0, sir.
if you want to write some instruction, how will you write it? So basically you will say, okay, let us start with I equal to 0, and then you go inside the loop. You say output ith character from the array, ith character, right?
Okay, sir.
In the beginning it will be what? I equal to 0. So the first time this loop runs, you will print just H, and then you
Yes,
say
sir.
I equal to I plus 1.
Yes, sir.
Now it becomes 1, and then you check if if ith character is \0, come out of the loop.
Okay,
Otherwise,
sir.
go back to the beginning of the loop.
Okay, sir.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, Nischal. So that is
So,
correct.
but what I was basically asking is that loop is not necessarily required here. So we use loop so that it can reduce our work.
Yes, yes, yes. No, no. See, necessarily, this is a practice for you. Okay.
Okay.
Someone has already done a lot of work, so you don't need to read character. You don't need to read character array character by character. There are functions that can read them, um, in a sequence, and it can actually give you the answer, right? But the idea is you should understand how exactly does it work. This is the idea.
Okay, sir. And so the condition for characters work in the
Mhm.
same way for the condition for integers or numbers.
Yeah, it is the same. It is a double equal to thing.
Okay, sir.
You write C double equal to in single quotes H, or
Yes, sir.
right. So it is the same thing.
Yes, sir.
And okay. So any more? I mean, again, I just hope that you guys are not getting you don't get scolded by ma'am. But yeah, okay. So is it fine now?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
सर
Mm, okay. Bye, guys.
सर
Yeah, go ahead.
सर मेरे को एक डाउट था, मतलब कि जैसे आप प्रिंट एफ करवाते हैं कोई स्टेटमेंट, मतलब लाइक अपने को कोई नंबर एंटर कराना था और फिर आप
Mm-hmm.
स्कैन एफ में उसको परसेंट डी करके लिख देते हैं। अगर
Mm-hmm.
मतलब अपने को मतलब प्रिंट एफ ना लिख के स्कैन एफ के अंदर ही वो कर सकते हैं क्या?
आप स्कैनफ से चीजें प्रिंट नहीं कर सकते हो। स्कैनफ हमेशा इनपुट के लिए होता है। आपको एक कैरेक्टर भी अगर प्रिंट करना है स्क्रीन पे, तो उसके लिए प्रिंटफ यूज करना पड़ेगा।
अच्छा, मतलब प्रिंट एफ ही करना पड़ेगा।
हाँ, स्कैनफ का आप यूज ये कर सकते हो कि जैसे आप यूजर से, आपको एक्सपेक्टेशन है कि आपका यूजर जो है वो आपका इनपुट एक स्पेसिफिक तरीके से ही टाइप करेगा। जैसे मैं आपसे एक सिंपल एग्जांपल दूं कि आपने यूजर को पहले प्रिंटफ करके भेजा, व्हाट इज योर नेम। तो हम अब कुछ लोग होंगे जो लिखेंगे कीर्ति गोयल, उसका आंसर लिख देंगे कीर्ति गोयल। कुछ लोग होंगे जो लिखेंगे माय नेम इज कीर्ति गोयल। समझ रहे हो? तो अगर आपको लगता है कि आपका यूजर ये सेकंड वाला सिस्टम यूज करेगा, वो पहले लिखेगा माय नेम इज, और उसके बाद जो कुछ भी लिखेगा वो उसका नाम होगा। तो स्कैनफ इस तरह की चीजों के लिए आपकी मदद कर सकता है कि आप उसको बता दो कि यूजर ये ऐसे का ऐसे लिखेगा, और इस पूरे के पूरे स्ट्रिंग में आप लिखते हो माय नेम इज परसेंट एस। तो इसका मतलब कि इस जब यूजर टाइप करेगा तो माय नेम इज तो लिखेगा ही लिखेगा, उसके बाद जो कुछ भी लिखेगा वो मेरा इनपुट है।
तो सर इसमें परसेंट एस से मतलब आपने क्यों बोला? मतलब
नहीं नहीं,
परसेंट
एस नहीं, जैसे जैसे आपको कोई भी इनपुट लेना है, राइट? जब आप इनपुट लेना चाहते हो तो यूजर से आप इनपुट कैसे लोगे? यूजर कुछ टाइप करेगा, जब आपका प्रोग्राम रन करेगा यूजर कुछ टाइप करेगा, ठीक है ना? अब अगर आपको लगता है कि वो यूजर आपकी वैल्यू डायरेक्टली टाइप कर देगा, जैसे आपने उससे पूछा, मान लो आप फैक्टोरियल का प्रोग्राम बना रहे हो, आपने उससे पूछा मुझे n की वैल्यू दीजिए, तो अगर उसने सीधे लाके टाइप कर दिया 5 और एंटर कर दिया, तब तो ठीक है। अगर वो ये लिखता है द वैल्यू ऑफ n इज 5, तो अब इसमें एक्चुअल नंबर तो सिर्फ जो आपको इनपुट चाहिए वो 5 ही है ना। जो उसने टाइप कर दिया द वैल्यू इज, वो तो आपके किसी काम का नहीं है, आपको तो सिर्फ 5 से मतलब है, राइट?
यस सर।
हाँ, तो इन केसेस में आपका स्कैनफ काम आता है। तो आप कुछ ऐसा लिखते हो, जैसे मैं अभी चैट पे लिख रहा हूँ। आपने यूजर को टाइप किया इस तरीके से, आपने ये टाइप किया यूजर को, व्हाट इज द नंबर। अब यूजर अगर सिर्फ टाइप करता है 5, तो इसको स्कैनफ करना हो तो आप कैसे करोगे?
सीधा मतलब परसेंट डी करके हो।
परसेंट डी, और सपोज ऐसे कर दिया आपने,
हाँ।
ये काफी। अगर आपको पता है कि आपका यूजर सिर्फ 5 लिख करके एंटर कर देगा, तो आप स्कैनफ ऐसे लिखोगे। लेकिन मान लो आपका यूजर लिखता है इस तरह से, आपके यूजर ने ये टाइप कर दिया, इसमें से ये द नंबर इस जो है, ये तो आपके किसी काम का है नहीं, है ना? आपके काम का क्या है? वो 5 है, वो नंबर चाहिए आपको जिसका जिसका फैक्टोरियल निकालना है। तब आप स्कैनफ कैसे लिखोगे? ऐसे लिखोगे, स्कैनफ अब समझ में आया आपको बात?
यस सर।
इसमें और पहले स्कैनफ में और इसमें क्या फर्क है? सॉरी
यहाँ पे
हाँ, ये स्ट्रिंग के अंदर आएगा बाय द वे, समझ रहे हो? मतलब मैं स्ट्रिंग लगाना भूल गया, ऐसे आएगा। क्या मतलब ये स्ट्रिंग के बीच में है, दो कोट्स के बीच में, ठीक है ना? द नंबर इज आपके दो कोट्स के बीच में लिखा है। मैं पूरा ही ले देता हूँ, नहीं तो आप कंफ्यूज हो जाओगे। अगर आपको पता है कि आपका यूजर ये द नंबर इज पहले लिखेगा और फिर नंबर देगा, तो आप स्कैनफ इस तरह से लिख सकते हो।
ओके सर।
अब समझ में आया आपको?
सर
ये वाले
नंबर
स्कैनफ में
नहीं होगा, वो डायरेक्ट परसेंट डी को रीड करेगा ना।
हाँ, अगर यूजर डायरेक्ट इनपुट दे रहा है, आपको पता है कि यूजर कुछ कुछ लिखेगा नहीं, तो आप ये पहला वाला वर्जन यूज कर सकते हो स्कैनफ का, कि उसमें सीधे वो 5 टाइप करेगा और एंटर कर देगा। लेकिन अगर आप उम्मीद कर रहे हो कि यूजर एक स्पेसिफिक फॉर्मेट पहले लिखेगा और उस स्पेसिफिक फॉर्मेट में कहीं एक जगह आपकी वैल्यू मिलेगी, तो आप स्कैनफ को ये बता सकते हो कि ये पूरा का पूरा फॉर्मेट ऐसे होगा और इसमें इस जगह पर मेरी वैल्यू है जो मुझे चाहिए।
ओके सर, थैंक यू सर।
ठीक ठीक है, ओके।
थैंक यू सर।
Sir, also you have sent one mail last night that we have to show this command line, show the in demo room we have to show the commands in command line like in WSL or Bash.
Yeah, yes,
So,
yes.
so VS Code will not work, sir.
No, that is what. Did you guys follow the problem that VS Code has yesterday? There was one student, वो VS Code use कर रहा है, he is using VS Code, but he doesn't know how to compile it on the terminal, right?
So, but I have learned that thing. So, problem with me is that I have a WSL, but sir, it doesn't run smooth on my laptop. So that's why I was using VS Code.
Sorry, your voice is again breaking. What is your problem?
Sir, I was using VS Code because I have a WSL setup, but it doesn't run smoothly in my laptop. Sir, my laptop's a bit old. I have to buy a new one. But for now, it was working fine in.
Then Nischal, use these virtual solutions that Abhinay and Pranav are providing. Okay, but please do use this. No, I cannot give an exception there. You have to learn without VS Code. Okay, VS Code and all these IDEs, they simply spoil the students, and you can use them once you become an advanced programmer, when you know everything that is going on in the background. But even the errors that you will get now on a typical bash, they will teach you something.
Okay, sir.
It's very important that you find out a way to program on GCC directly. Okay, VS Code, that is what I said. You write your code in Microsoft Word, I don't care. Okay, but you need to know how to run it on GCC.
Okay, okay, sir.
You see, you don't understand. You are going to learn so many things even from errors. There are so many
Yes,
students.
sir.
I'm very happy, by the way. There are many students who sent me an email after the lab saying that, sir, we could not do the stuff in lab, but can you please tell us what is the problem? In कि मैंने ये लिखा and what is the problem? I was so happy, right? They realized that they are not going to get marks, but they want to learn. Okay, and this is what is the crux of the matter. These 5 or 10 marks are not going to be a big change in your life. Okay, the learning that you will get from these labs, that is going to be with you for your life. So whenever you do something, even if you are not able to do well in lab, just make sure you understand why it went wrong. If you understand that, you will learn. Okay,
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
okay guys, thank you, bye.
Sir, for the math
Yeah,
functions like exponent or power, the data types have to be very specific, or
yes, they have to be specific. So when you read the man pages for them, or you can also put their name in Google, and figure out. So they have a specific data type which they take as input, and a specific data type that they return as an output. Okay, so for example, the power function, its return type is double, POW. Okay, its return type is double. So whatever it returns, it has to be collected in back in a double.
That was the error I was getting yesterday.
Yeah. So again, as I said, right, you have to learn. Somehow you will learn these things when you get these errors. And this is the idea that over a period of time you will learn. Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you. Bye.